Hello, sports fans. It is Tuesday, September the 27th, the year 2016, and we are ready for NFL picks for week number 4 in the league where they play for pay. And let's get right to it. We start the bye weeks this week. Philadelphia and Green Bay have a bye. How about Philadelphia? How good have they looked early in the year? They have the right quarterback and the right coach. I mean, remember when they had Chip Kelly running that ridiculous offense? They're glad to be rid of him. We'll get to Chip Kelly in a second in the Niners. But how good have the Philadelphia Eagles been? They just blew out Pittsburgh with a rookie quarterback, Wentz, that looks like he's going to be a star. He hasn't made any mistakes so far in the year. Philadelphia has a bye week, so does Green Bay. They come off the win against Detroit. Let's get to the Thursday night game. Let's go to the jungle in Cincinnati, where the Cincinnati Bengals are home, -7 against the Miami Dolphins. Cincinnati, a very disappointing 1-2. They have had a tough schedule. Beat the Jets, lost to Pittsburgh, lost at home to Denver. I was a little surprised about that, how easily Denver, with a first-year starting quarterback, moved the ball up and down the field against Cincinnati. I was very surprised by that. Miami 1-2. They win in overtime against Cleveland. They were very lucky to win. Cleveland should have won this game, missed a field goal at the end. Miami does win it in overtime. I have to think here. Thursday night, home, short week, awful loss. You have to go with Cincinnati, right? You have to. I can't see Miami winning this game. This might be a game you might want to tease and move the line down to 1. I definitely think Cincinnati's going to win. Spread's a little high at 7 considering the way Cincinnati has played early in the year, but you have to think the Bengals are going to win. Might want to move that line down to 1, play it with another team, maybe an over and under or something, but I have to like Cincinnati. I like those home teams on Thursday night. Cincinnati now has lost 2 in a row. They lost at home last week. They got to be an angry bunch of Bengals. I mean, they really have to win this game. Can't fall to 1-3. Remember, Baltimore was already 3-0 in the division. Pittsburgh's a good team, despite their follies in Philly. That's a tough division. You got to think Cincinnati's going to respond here. I still don't trust the Dolphins. They were extremely lucky to beat Cleveland last week. I'll take Cincinnati there in pick number 1. Pick number 2. Let's go to London, England. And you know how I feel about these London games. I mean, listen, I love the London fans. The English fans are great. The new Wembley Stadium is great. It'll be full. But I don't understand the NFL's fascination with putting a team in London. I just don't understand it. They finally got a team in LA after all these years. I don't know why they're so interested in London. It's like if the English Soccer Premier League would be obsessed with putting a team here. I just don't understand why we're obsessed with it. I really don't understand it. But anyway, we have the Indianapolis Colts -2.5 against the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's another thing. London always has to sit through Jacksonville every year. Jacksonville plays, one game a year there. I mean, maybe you want to put another team, over in London besides Jacksonville. I know they play a couple games in London, but Jacksonville always plays there. I mean, talk about giving the London fans, putting a bad taste in their mouth about American football. You keep sending Jacksonville over there with all their nonsense. Anyway, Colts -2.5 against Jacksonville. Colts are 1-2. Came from behind and beat San Diego. They really needed to have that game. Jacksonville 0-3, and they find new and creative ways to lose each and every week. They're up 3. They have a field goal blocked with 3 minutes to go in the game. Baltimore comes down, kicks a field goal to win it. Typical Jacksonville. They find ways to lose each and every week. That's why I can't trust them, and I am taking the Colts here. Listen, I don't love the Colts. I don't think they're great, but they do have luck. So to me, that's enough to take them here. You can't trust Jacksonville. You just can't. And I've tried, and I covered with them week 1 against Green Bay. But you just can't trust them on a week-in, week-out basis. You're going to look up, and Jacksonville again is going to be like 4-12, and next year you're going to be saying, oh, we're going to be improved again. You keep waiting for Jacksonville. I feel like it's been a decade of just bad football, and again, they find a way to lose. I will take the Colts there, -2.5 in London. That is pick number 2. Pick number 3, let's go down to Washington, where the Washington Redskins are home, -9.5 against the Cleveland Browns. Washington 1-2 had a big come-from-behind win against the Giants. I think they were down, 21-9 in this game. You're thinking Washington's going to be 0-3 and off to a just terrible start. It looks like their season could be over. They came rallying back. Cousins hit Jackson with a few big plays. They they had a trick play for another huge gain. The Giants made all sorts of mistakes, turnovers, penalties, getting guys kicked out. Washington responded here. The first couple of weeks, Washington let some games get away from them, especially that Dallas game. They responded here against the Giants. That was an important win. 1-2 looks a lot better than 0-3. Cleveland is 0-3. Really should have beat Miami. Missed a field goal at the end. I thought the Cleveland rookie quarterback did some nice things. Cleveland played better in this game, but like Jacksonville, they always seem to find a way to lose. Spread's a little high here at 9.5. This might be another game you might want to tease, get it down to 3.5, but I still don't trust Cleveland. I'm not ready to take Cleveland on the road, despite the 9.5 points. I may move this line down to 3.5 and play it with another team. You have to think Washington, they have a lot of firepower on offense. Cousins did play well last week. Jackson looked good. You have to think they're going to have just too much firepower for Cleveland. I'm going to take Washington here. I'm probably going to move that line down to 3.5. That's pick number 3. Pick number 4, let's go up to New England, where the New England Patriots are -4.5 against the Buffalo Bills. How about these Patriots? They're 3-0 again. How about these Patriots? They are down to their third-string quarterback last Thursday night. No Brady, no Garofalo. Gronkowski was very limited. They had two of their better defensive players out for this game. And they shut out a decent Houston team and made them look silly. New England is just unbelievable. And how about this home record? Did I see that New England is 77-0? 77-0 when they lead at the half at home? Are you kidding me? That's absolutely ridiculous. 77-0 when you lead at halftime at home? That's just crazy. New England just does a great job of plugging people in. Belichick could be quarterbacking and they'll find a way to win. They're -4.5 here at home against Buffalo. Buffalo got a much-needed win. They're up to 1-2. They beat up Arizona. Bad loss by Arizona. Buffalo just manhandled Arizona over the weekend. That's what you get from Buffalo sometimes. They'll give you 2 duds, and then they'll throw a great game in, and then when you get on the Buffalo wagon, they'll throw another dud in. They're so up and down and inconsistent all the time. Listen, I can't go against New England. I don't know if Garofalo's going to play this week. They may be down to the third-string quarterback again. But I just can't go against New England. They could win this game on defense alone. They shut out Houston last week. Buffalo, they just are too up and down for me. You never know what you're getting offensively. I could see people taking Buffalo here +4.5, but I just can't go against New England. Every time I do, and I very rarely do, it always comes back to bite me. So I'm going to take New England here. They just keep finding ways to win. New England -4.5 against Buffalo. And by the way, when New England gets all their players back, how good are they going to be? And I saw very few predictions at the beginning of the year that had New England in the Super Bowl. Might want to change that. New England's going to be right there again. They're scary good. I'll take New England there. That's pick number 4. Pick number 5. Let's go to the Meadowlands in New Jersey. Not too far from here, where the Seattle Seahawks are -1.5 against the New York Jets. Seattle is 2-1. They destroyed the Niners. Finally got that offense rolling. Nice job by San Francisco, by the way. Seattle's quarterback banged up. Not sure if he's going to play. Running back out this week. They're still a slight favorite on the road. Jets 1-2. Lost to Kansas City and had a billion turnovers. What, they have 7 turnovers? Fitzpatrick threw 6 interceptions. That's hard to believe. It's hard to believe that they had 7 turnovers and only lost 24-3. This game was 17-3 for a while, and all Fitzpatrick was doing was throwing interceptions. What an atrocious game by Fitzpatrick. I'm going to take the Jets here. They're home. Fitzpatrick has to be humiliated after that performance last week, and I don't know what I'm getting from Seattle here. Is Wilson playing? The running back is already out. I know they beat up on the Niners. I got to see more from the Seattle offense. That's more on San Francisco to me. I'm not ready to say Seattle's offense is back to where it was a couple of years ago. They still can be shaky offensively. I think the Jets are going to be desperate here at 1-2 at home. This is a very close game, very low-scoring defensive game. Might want to play the under in this game. I'm going to take the Jets +1.5 in the Meadowlands. That's pick number 5. Pick number 6. Let's go to the Georgia Dome in Atlanta, where the Carolina Panthers are -3 against the Atlanta Falcons. Carolina, a disappointing 1-2. They were up 10-0 on Minnesota, and they got manhandled the rest of the way. Minnesota's defense is ferocious, by the way. Carolina gave up 8 sacks. That's hard to believe as Minnesota pushed them around last week. Carolina, disappointing 1-2, have had a tough schedule. Lost a couple of tough games. Atlanta 2-1, and they scored about 70 points on New Orleans last night. Every time I flipped on this game, Atlanta was driving and scoring. I think they scored on 5-6 straight possessions at one point. I mean, my goodness, so Atlanta got the offense cooking. The Saints' defense is decimated, by the way. So Atlanta is 2-1. They've won back-to-back road games. I got to take Carolina here. I still am a believer in Carolina. I think they're going to be one of the contenders this year. I don't think a good team like this is going to drop to 1-3. Atlanta's defense can still be had. They put up a ton of points last night, but what was lost in that is they gave up a ton of yardage and a ton of points to New Orleans. New Orleans was moving the ball up and down the field. So I am going to take Carolina here. I think they're just better than Atlanta. I still don't trust that Atlanta defense. They have done a decent job the last 2 weeks, but I think Carolina's better. They're going to score some points. They'll make some stops, unlike New Orleans last night. I like Carolina -3 in the Georgia Dome. That's pick number 6. Pick number 7, let's go to Soldier Field in Chicago. Here's a doozer of a game where the Detroit Lions are -3 against the Chicago Bears. Detroit 1-2, lost to Green Bay. They were down 31-3, rallied back to get it to 7, but fell short. Chicago 0-3, got bombed in Dallas. Who knows about Cutler? Chicago has injuries all over the place. Chicago's one of the worst teams in football. No doubt in my mind, they're one of the worst teams in football. To me, Cutler can go, Fox can go, draft a young quarterback in the draft, and rebuild this whole mess. This is a disgrace, and I don't want to see Chicago anymore on prime time. They were on Sunday night and Monday night the last couple of weeks. I don't want to see any more of the Bears. They are painful to watch. The last 2 games were painful. So the Bears are an atrocious team. Having said that, I got to go with Detroit. I got to go with Detroit. I don't love Detroit on the road giving 3, but the Bears are awful. They have a million injuries on defense. Cutler might not play. They've shown you nothing the last couple of weeks. At least Detroit made a comeback against Green Bay. At least they showed some sort of life. The Bears have shown me nothing. I'll take Detroit. That's pick number 7. Pick number 8. Let's go down to Houston, where the Houston Texans are -6.5 against the Tennessee Titans. Houston 2-1 and had that abysmal performance in New England where they were just embarrassed, lifeless. The quarterback was atrocious. I mean, it's hard to believe they gave him $72 million, Osweiler. He's got to play better than that. It can't just be one receiver for Houston. They need more people on offense. Houston defense didn't show up last week. They got pushed all around. I didn't hear a word of Clowney called at all during that game. Tennessee 1-2, lost to Oakland. I don't think Tennessee is a good team. Remember that stat I gave you a couple weeks ago? Remember when the Rams got shut out? I said teams that get shut out in the NFL historically come back the next week and not only cover but win the game. And what happened when the Rams got shut out? Came back the next week and won outright against Seattle. Remember that? Houston shut out last week. You can be sure they are going to lay it on Tennessee here. They had an extra few days to prepare. Tennessee is not a big offensive team. Houston is a defensive team. They will smother and shut down Tennessee all over Houston. Houston will roll in this game. This has 23-10 written all over it. I like Houston -6.5 against Tennessee. That's pick number 8. I love that game, by the way. I love Houston in that game. That's one of my best bets of the week. Pick number 9. Let's go to Baltimore, where the Baltimore Ravens are -3.5 against the Oakland Raiders. Baltimore quietly under the radar 3-0 as they found a way to beat Jacksonville. Baltimore, first 3 weeks, against Buffalo, against Jacksonville, against Cleveland, didn't look all that impressive but found ways to win. So they're 3-0. You got to give them a lot of credit. They had a terrible year last year. They're finding ways to win. Oakland 2-1, responded to beat Tennessee. The defense played better. Listen, it is Tennessee. The way Baltimore has played the first 3 weeks, I got to think this game is going to be close. So it's 3.5. I'm going to think it's a field goal game either way. I'm going to take Oakland here to at least keep it close, to at least cover. Baltimore sure can find a way to win. I'm going to take Oakland plus 3.5 in a very close game. Will be decided by a field goal. Pick number 10. Let's go to Tampa Bay. Very strange spread here. The Denver Broncos are -3 against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Tampa. Denver is 3-0. beat Cincinnati. The young quarterback looked really good. It is amazing. You know what's amazing? All these young, inexperienced quarterbacks playing well. The Denver quarterback, Prescott for Dallas, Wentz for Philly, Garofalo for New England, now the third stringer for New England. Even the Cleveland quarterback looked good. Bradford filling in for Bridgewater. It's amazing. All these rookie quarterbacks or quarterbacks, just starting their first year or filling in for someone are all playing well. They're not making any mistakes. That's how the NFL has changed over the years. It is a lot easier now to find a quarterback because first of all the rules are for the offense. And then in high school and in college, all these teams now run these pro sets and with the 4 wide receivers and the hurry-up offenses and the up-tempo offenses, and you got the 4 and 5 wide receivers. It's a lot easier now to play quarterback. Listen, it's still a tough position. It's still a tough position. Still hard to find a great quarterback. But it's a little easier now to find a quarterback. You see it now. This would have never went on, 20 years ago. These quarterbacks would have all struggled if they were playing at all. Most of them probably would have sat out their first year. They all would have struggled. Now they're coming in right away with very little prep time, and they're having a lot of success. That's how the NFL has changed. It's actually harder to find a cover guy now than a quarterback, in my estimation. Back to the picks. Denver -3 at Tampa. Denver 3-0, doing a great job. Beat Cincinnati on the road. Denver defense is tremendous. You know they're going to be a contender with that defense. Quarterback play, like I said, has been well. Tampa Bay 1-2, lost at home to the Rams. Now, this was a Ram team that scored 9 points the first 2 weeks and had no touchdowns. Tampa Bay gave up, almost 40 points to the Rams at home. That is terrible. Why is this spread only 3? You have the defending Super Bowl champion who is 3-0 against a Tampa Bay team that's 1-2 and gave up almost 40 points to the Rams who can't score a point at all. This is a sneaky spread. It really is. The game's in Tampa, I know that. I mean, that's not exactly a snake pit to walk into and win. I'm going to take Denver, but that spread scares me. There's something's going on here. I mean, Denver should be a lot more than 3-point favorite over Tampa Bay in my estimation. That should be at least 6. I'm going to take Denver. I guess it's going to be a gift. I'll take Denver here. I think their defense will shut down Tampa Bay. And obviously Tampa Bay is going to give up some points. Denver -3 against Tampa. Very sneaky spread right there. Pick number 11. Another sneaky spread. Dallas -3 against the San Francisco 49ers out in Santa Clara. Dallas 2-1, destroyed Chicago. They are doing a really nice job with Prescott. Remember, if Dallas didn't blow that game to the Giants, they could be 3-0. They are doing a really nice job with Romo out. The quarterback looks really good. He looks really poised. I like him. San Francisco 1-2. Here we go with them. San Francisco in Week 1 pitched a shutout against the Rams. Since then, I think they've gave up 450 billion points the last 2 weeks, including what they give up to Seattle, almost 40 to a Seattle team that had 1 touchdown in 2 games. Wilson's playing on a bad leg, and what does San Francisco do the first play of the game? They give up an 80-yard run, and it just was an avalanche from there. I don't like Chip Kelly at all. Chip Kelly, to me, is a college coach. He'd be great coaching like Cal or something. I didn't like him with the Eagles. You see how the Eagles are doing without him. Have they missed Chip Kelly? You can forget the Niners. I mean, forget it. They had their 1 win. They are going to have a bad rest of the year. Why is this spread only 3? There's going to be a ton of Cowboy fans in the house, so that'll negate the home field. To me, Dallas is just better. San Francisco is not a good team. They just got steamrolled by Seattle, who can't score. And they gave up 1,000,000 points to Carolina the week before. I can't take San Francisco here. I'll take Dallas -3. To me, this spread is too low. This spread should be 6 points as well. Let's go to pick number 12. Like I said, I'm picking Dallas there. Pick number 11. Pick number 12. Let's go out to San Diego, where the San Diego Chargers are -4 against the New Orleans Saints. San Diego 1-2. Lost a tough game to the Colts. They could have won this game. They gave up a score late. San Diego has 1,000,000 injuries. Now I see Manti Te'o is out for the year. 2 of their best receivers are out. San Diego is now in last place in a tough division, so San Diego really needs to win this game. New Orleans is 0-3, and their defense is done. Their defense has been ravaged by injuries. You know what's amazing? And this is the NFL for you. This is why the NFL is week to week. Last week, New Orleans did not give up a touchdown to the Giants. Even though they lost, the Giants ran back a kick and all that. New Orleans didn't give up a touchdown on the road. They come back home, and they gave up, what did they give up, 50 points to Atlanta? There was like 6 straight drives where Atlanta scored and went down the field. Touchdown, 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 touchdown. It was ridiculous after a while. The offense is still good for New Orleans. Breeze is still real good. He did have a couple picks late, but you can't put it all on him. I don't trust New Orleans with that defense. San Diego has to win this game. If they drop to 1-3 in that division, they are done. They have to win this game. I think they will. I think there'll be a lot of points scored in this game. I like San Diego here, and I like the over. So San Diego is pick number 12 and the over. Pick number 13, let's go out to Arizona. Well, the Arizona Cardinals are -9 against the LA Rams. Believe it or not, Arizona's 1-2. And the Rams are 2-1. Did you ever think that? You know, after week 1, watching the Rams get shut out by the Niners? That's the NFL. Arizona got pushed around by Buffalo, and I did not like their body language in that game at all. Rams, listen, 2-1, did a nice job the last 2 weeks. Their offense finally did some things. They got some points on the board. They're 2-1. After the week 1 shutout against the Niners, they found a way to win 2 games. This spread's 9 points. This may be in... Listen, I think Arizona's going to win here. I might want to move this line as well, maybe tease it down to 3 points, but I think Arizona's going to win. They cannot lose to the Rams in their own building. Can't do it. So I am going to take Arizona here. I'm going to probably move that line down to 3 points. That's pick number 13. Pick number 14, let's go to Pittsburgh, where the Pittsburgh Steelers are home, -5 against the Kansas City Chiefs. Both teams are 2-1. Like I said before, Kansas City beat the Jets. Steelers 2-1 had a horrific, and I mean a horrific performance in Philadelphia. Very rarely does a Steeler team take a bad beating like that, and they were just obliterated last week. I mean, they were never in the game, never found the end zone, which is shocking with that offense, and they got destroyed by an Eagle team with a rookie quarterback. The Steelers were ambushed last week, outcoached. The Steelers looked like they were not prepared for this game. They thought they were just going to show up and beat the rookie quarterback. It did not happen. They were bullied all over the field. It was an embarrassing performance by Pittsburgh. You might want to just burn that film. Don't even look at that film. That's how bad it was. Sproles was running all over the place, and the Steelers played well the first 2 weeks. This was an alarming bad loss. So the Steelers got to nip this in the bud right away. Let's not make this a habit. I think they'll respond here. They're coming back home. The Chiefs, they don't score a lot of points. Who knows about Charles? He still has not gotten on the field. The Chiefs, like I said, despite forcing 7 turnovers, running one back, it was still 17-3 at one point late in the fourth quarter, so they don't score a lot of points. I think the Steelers got to be furious after that performance. You heard all the quotes after the game. I mean, they were saying they got their butt kicked. We got embarrassed. They're coming back home. The Steelers can be a bully team at home. I like Pittsburgh at home, the rebound, -5 against Kansas City. It's an important game for Pittsburgh. See how they respond here. That's pick number 14. Pick number 15. Let's go to Minnesota, where the Minnesota Vikings are home, -4 against the New York Giants. Minnesota is doing a tremendous job at 3-0. Remember, they lost Bridgewater for the year. Peterson might be gone for the year. Who knows? Their defense is absolutely ferocious. Their front is awesome. If you like good defensive football, and there's very few teams that play great defense, you know, in the NFL these days. Denver's one of them. Minnesota is another one. Minnesota's defense is ferocious. In back-to-back weeks, they shut down Green Bay and Carolina. They were down 10-0 on the road to a good Carolina team, and Minnesota just shut them down. Their front is tremendous. Bradford is doing a nice job filling in for Bridgewater. I really like this Minnesota team. The defense is really, really good. They're fun to watch. They play hard. I like Minnesota's team. Giants 2-1. They really let one slip away here. They could have been 3-0. They're up 21-9, and things just got out of hand for the Giants. I mean, a lot of just terrible plays. Eli Manning, 2 terrible interceptions. Giants, 1 million penalties. They're getting guys kicked out, totally undisciplined. Bad loss for the Giants. Now listen, the Giants pulled out 2 games, weeks 1 and 2, 2 close games, so I guess they were due for a loss like this. This was not a good loss for the Giants. They were very close to being 3-0. They let that game slip away. I like Minnesota here. They're home. That building is really loud, and their defense is just awesome. I think they're going to be all over Eli Manning. I really like Minnesota's team a lot. I mean, they are doing a nice job. I'm so impressed with the Vikings front. If you haven't seen Minnesota play, check out their front 7. They are amazing. I like the Vikings -4 against the Giants in Midi. That is your picks for the NFL for week number 4. Before we get to college football, I did add up how I'm doing so far this year. First 2 weeks in the NFL, I had winning weeks. This week I did not have a good week in the NFL. With the picks I made here and all the picks I made on my own, the over and unders, the teasers, I am only 1 game over 500 for the NFL, so I'd like to pick that up. College football, I'm doing great. I've had a winning week each and every week. I'm up to 10 games over 500. I always start off better in college football than the NFL. NFL, the first few weeks, you're kind of feeling out how these teams are. Now I'll start to probably pick it up in the NFL. It's still a feeling out process, those first few weeks in the NFL. So about 1 game over in the NFL right now, and college I'm 10 over. Remember, I'm picking all the games in the NFL. I'm selectively picking in college football. That may be a reason as well. So we'll try and do better in the NFL this week. Let's get to college football. Week 5 is the college football season, as it always does. It's just flying right by. We got 3 big matchups. We'll save them for last. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 picks for you. Let's start with pick number 1. Let's go to Baton Rouge, Louisiana, where the LSU Tigers are 2-2. They are -13 against the Missouri Tigers. LSU now has fired their coach. They lose that heartbreaking game to Auburn where they score at the end. They replay it. They say they didn't get the snap off in time. It was a good call. Les Miles, who they probably wanted to fire last year, they finally, canned him. Now it's Coach O. We'll see how Coach O does. I don't think Coach O will get the job permanently. Look for maybe the Houston coach to get it. Maybe the Florida State coach is interested. I heard maybe the Memphis coach is an up-and-comer. But LSU now, they cannot lose any more games the rest of the year if they have any hope of doing anything. They have to win out. They have a new coach. Missouri, when they went on the road this year, lost 26-11 at West Virginia. I think LSU is going to be inspired with the new coach. They're home. That place is just impossible to play in. I don't think Missouri is all that good. So I think LSU is going to be up for this game. They're going to start fresh, and I think they're going to bury Missouri here. I like LSU -13 against Missouri in Death Valley. That's pick number 1. Pick number 2, let's go down to Atlanta, where the Miami Hurricanes are -7 against the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. Miami is undefeated and doing a nice job with Mark Richt as their new coach. Georgia Tech does not look like a good team at all. I watched them last Thursday night against Clemson. Georgia Tech got, first of all, embarrassed in that game. They couldn't move the ball from here to there. Last Thursday night, between watching the Texans and Georgia Tech, I mean, it was some awful football. I don't think Georgia Tech has it this year. They're usually pretty competitive. I don't like their team at all this year. This Miami team is an up-and-comer. I think Miami wins this game and wins it comfortably. I'll take Miami -7 at Tech. That's pick number 2. Pick number 3, let's go out west where the USC Trojans are 1-3 and -10 against the Arizona State Sun Devils. Arizona State is undefeated. USC is 1-3, yet USC is a 10-point favorite. And I know the game's in the Coliseum, but come on. Does USC deserve to be favored by that much over anyone the way they've played? I mean, between USC and, by the way, Notre Dame's having a bad year. Between those two teams, none of them deserve to be favored by that much. USC, a 10-point favorite against an undefeated team. And I know Arizona State gives up a ton of points, and I don't love them all that much on the road. But I think they're going to be able to stay within 10 points here against USC. So I'm going to take Arizona State on the road +10 against SC to at least keep it close. I mean, Arizona State is undefeated and USC is 1-3. I think this is going to be a closer game than the spread. ASU is pick number 3. Pick number 4, let's go between the hedges down in Athens, Georgia, where the Tennessee Volunteers are -3 against the Georgia Bulldogs. Tennessee had the nice come-from-behind win against Florida. I won that game, went to the cashier's window on that. Tennessee's undefeated, and they are an up-and-comer for sure. Georgia lost last week. They got bombed at Ole Miss. I don't think this is a good Georgia team. First 3 weeks of the year, they were lucky to win. The luck caught up to them last week. They got bombed by Mississippi. That was another game I won on. I think Tennessee is just better. There'll be a ton of Tennessee fans there. Tennessee fans travel well. I think Tennessee eats up Georgia, even though the game's between the hedges. I like Tennessee -3 against Georgia. That's pick number 4. Pick number 5. Let's go to Tuscaloosa, Alabama, where number 1 Alabama is -35 against Kentucky. Alabama, of course, just is a wrecking crew. They're undefeated. They're going to be right there for everything at the end of the year. Kentucky 2-2, but when they played at Florida this year, they lost 45-7. So to me, when I look at that, they lost 45-7 at Florida. Alabama's a lot better than Florida. So who do you think I'm going to go with here? Alabama rolls in this game. This might be a shutout. This has like 49-6 written all over it. Alabama -35 against Kentucky. That's pick number 5. Pick number 6. Let's go to Tallahassee, Florida, where Florida State is -10.5 against North Carolina. Florida State rebounded last week, beat South Florida after they had that atrocious loss to Louisville where they gave up 1,000,000 points. Florida State has to win out to have any chance of doing anything. North Carolina, listen, they're okay. They give up a lot of points. They rallied to beat Pitt last week, but I think this is a Florida State game all the way. This is the perfect opponent for Florida State, a team that they're better than talent-wise. In Florida State, in Tallahassee, Florida State should score a lot of points in this game. I think Florida State could score 50 in this game. That will be more than enough to cover the 10 points, 10.5 I should say. Florida State -10.5 against North Carolina. That's pick number 6. And now the 3 big games of the weekend. Let's go to Friday. There's a Friday night game. Let's go to Seattle, Washington, where the Washington Huskies are -3 against the Stanford Cardinal. Stanford ranked 7, Washington ranked 10. Both teams undefeated. Washington is a team that is under the radar. Remember, it was only a few years ago that Washington was awful. Now they're in the top 10. If you've ever been to Washington, it is an absolute madhouse to play in. It is very loud. First of all, if you haven't been there, get out there. It is a great stadium. Fans are loud. They're great. There's that beautiful scenery with the water in the back, the mountains in the back. Put it on your bucket list. It's a great place to watch a game. Stanford, they struggled with UCLA last week, found a way to win. I'm going to take Washington here -3. I just love that home crowd. I think Washington's under the radar. No one's talking about them. I wasn't all that impressed with Stanford last week against UCLA. They were down most of that game. They had like 6 points going into the fourth quarter. Did find a way to win. Wasn't all that impressed with Stanford. So I'm going to take Washington here. I think they're going to ride that home crowd. I like Washington -3 against Stanford. That is pick number 7. Pick number 8, let's go to Ann Arbor, Michigan, where the number 4 ranked Michigan Wolverines are -10.5 against the number 8 Wisconsin Badgers. Both teams undefeated. This is a huge game in the grand scheme of things. Wisconsin had a huge win at Michigan State. Now you're asking them to go to Michigan and win back-to-back road games. That's not going to happen. That's asking too much for Wisconsin, too much from them. I think Michigan is going to shut down Wisconsin. I don't love Wisconsin's offense. I think they're tailor-made for Michigan. Impossible spot for the Badgers. Just won at Michigan State. Now you got to immediately come back and go to Michigan. Way too much to ask for. I'll take Michigan there -10.5. That's pick number 8. And pick number 9. This is where College Game Day will be. This is the game of the weekend. Louisville, ranked number 3, is -1 against number 5 ranked Clemson. Both teams undefeated. This has national championship implications written all over it. The winner of this game will have a leg up in the ACC. This is one of the biggest games of the year. It's a must-watch game. You gotta watch it. I very rarely have seen Clemson an underdog at home, and I know Louisville was great against Florida State a couple weeks ago. That was in Louisville. Louisville owed Florida State from the last couple of years. I don't know if Louisville's defense is good enough to go into Clemson and win. Everyone's forgot about Clemson this year. You know, they haven't played all that great, but they still got Deshaun Watson. That crowd's amazing, and I've seen a lot of dreams die in that stadium, in that valley. Clemson is a big game team lately. Remember, they were in the national championship game last year. I know they haven't played all that great this year. Very few teams walk into Clemson and win, and I can't remember the last time a good Clemson team was underdog at home. This is the 5th-ranked Clemson team, and they're underdog at home. I know Louisville was great against Florida State. That was at home, and they owed Florida State from the last 2 years. I don't know if Louisville's defense has enough to win here. I think it's going to be a spectacular game, a high-scoring game. I would bet the over in this game. I think Clemson is going to win this game. I'll take Clemson +1 at home to beat Louisville. should be an absolute madhouse down there in Death Valley, Clemson. Another place you might want to put on your bucket list. The fans are to die for. It is a great place to watch a game. Put it on your bucket list. I like Clemson there. So those are your college football picks for week number 5 in what should be a great week of football. Remember, we have the baseball. This is the last week's coming up in baseball. Remember, this is the last week. Baseball teams jockeying for position. You got that wild card race going on, in both divisions. So good stuff coming up in baseball as well. And of course, a couple of really bad notes over the weekend. Jose Fernandez killed. That was just a terrible story in the boating accident. That really made me just really sick over the weekend. I hated to hear that story. So condolences to the whole Mullen family. Just an awful tragedy. Jose Fernandez, one of the best pitchers in all baseball. That story really got me upset. And of course, Arnold Palmer, the great golf legend, passed away as well. So a couple of very heart-wrenching stories over the weekend. Condolences to everyone in the Arnold Palmer camp as well. All right, there you go. You guys are all caught up. You guys are all set. You have my picks for college and NFL. You guys, thanks as always for the support. Stay happy, healthy, and safe. Enjoy the games. Pick a lot of winners. Make a lot of money. I'll talk to you guys next Tuesday. Take care.